In this lesson, I'm going to show you how you can create eye-catching cinematic parallax effects and add motion graphics and sound effects just like this one in CapCut. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Open CapCut and create a new project. Here I have imported a picture from soldiers in a war zone area. Let's add it to the timeline. Now expand the clip to about 10 seconds. This is just a still picture and there's no movement. What we need to achieve here is create a parallax effects to separate the background from the foreground in order to create parallax effects. To duplicate the clip, hold the Alt key, drag it above the first clip, and release. Now select the upper layer and go to Remove Background and click on Auto Removal. This removes the background from the soldiers. In order to make sure, just drag the first clip all the way to the right and place your marker on the timeline. As you can see, the background is removed. Now drag it back to the beginning of the timeline. And what we need to do now is to remove the soldiers from the background. And this is exactly the opposite of what we did to the first clip. In the upper clip, we removed the background from the soldiers. Now we need to remove the soldiers from the background and have a clean background. In order to do that, we need to click on the lower clip and then go to Basic, scroll down to AI Remove and click on it. It takes about 10 seconds before it's ready. If you look at the right, you can see a little timer there. The process is done. Click on the middle brush and start brushing the soldiers. Now go to the right and click on Remove. It usually takes about 5 to 8 seconds before the removal process is completed. Let's check the clip. Move the upper clip to your right, put your timeline marker on it, and as you can see, the soldiers are removed. And here's the before and after the removal. Both clips. The upper clip has the soldiers and the lower clip has no soldiers, but when you combine them together, they exactly look like the original clip. And that's how we can create the parallax effects, by separating the foreground from background and create the keyframe animation. In the right pane, click on Transform Keyframe. Make sure the timer is on the beginning of the timeline. Click on it, click on Transform to enable the keyframe, and change the scale to 140%. And now go to the end of the clip and make sure the keyframe is checked. The end of the clip should be 100% because we want to zoom from 140 to 100%. Now let's do the same thing to the bottom clip. Click on it, go to Transform, click on the keyframe, and then we're going to drag it all the way to the end of the clip. Now click on Transform Keyframe, then change the scale to 120%. This is going to be 20% less than foreground because background should be moving at the slower pace. Let's do a quick check and make sure the zoom in and zoom out is what we wanted. This looks perfect. Let's add more effects. Let's go to the library and type in fire and select a fire particle. Now scroll down until you find something that resembles the smoke. This one is perfect. Let's add it to the timeline. Since the background is black in smoke, we need to go to Blend and click on Screen. Now the smoke, it gives a little motion to this picture because as the soldiers are zooming in and background is zooming out, the smoke is actually traveling in the air. Wait, we are not done yet. We still have work to do. Let's change the background graphic with something like a motion graphic. In media search box, type in city burning. Select this one and add it to the timeline. Make sure you place it under the smoke clip. Now, since we have the motion background, we can delete the original background. This looks a lot better, doesn't it? Now it's time to add some effects. We can go to the effects section and select some of the effects that we can apply to this image. Type camera in the search box and select the first one and apply to the timeline. This creates a little shake and a camera viewfinder information, which is okay. It kind of starts with a blurry effect and gives you some viewfinder look-like information. Let's add camera shake. This gives it a nice shake to it, but we need to adjust something, because if you don't, it's just going to be like shaking too much like this. So what we're going to do is we need to make sure that there's a little shake there. Click on that effect and make sure the shake is set to 10 and the speed is around 1. When we set the range to 10, it gives it a nice combination of shake, but since the speed is set to 1, it won't look too shaky. Now let's adjust all the clips to the same length. We're going to add another effect. We're going to create like a film look effect. So go to search, type in film, and select the film frame from the search box. Scroll down and film frame right there and add it to the timeline. And when you expand it all the way there, because we wanted to cover the entire clip, and it has this nice black bar on top like a film and has some scratches in there. The reason you see that viewfinder, because we still have the other effect in place, the little short one in purple, and that gives it like a viewfinder. But this one is a film frame. It gives you the nice shaded corners and also has some scratches like old film. Of course, you can select any other effect you want from the effect menu or selection. Just go ahead and try every one of them and see if it looks good for your project. Let's add this one. This one gives you a nicer film effect, but it's too much. You can stack many effects on top of each other just to see how everything looks, but at the end you probably end up with one or two. Like this effect, it gives you like a tube kind of effect. It has like old tube, TV tube quality. I usually look for effect that looks more cinematic. Yes, kind of oldish, but still look cinematic. Try all the effects and see which one suits you best. After all, it's your project. I came across this effect that gives you like one of those old marked film effect. Of course, you can't use it all the way to the timeline. You just want to cut a little piece of that effect and kind of make it small, like small, really small effect. And when you run it, it looks like there was some kind of film glitch there or some kind of film marking, just like the old times when they were editing movies. It's time to add some sound effect to this. Go to the audio tab and click on it and search for gunfire sounds and preview each audio file. This sounds good. Let's add it to the timeline. Let's give it a little fade in. We're going to need to add more sound effect. This sounds good. Let's add to the timeline. Nicely drag it under the other clip to have like a continuous sound effect. Let's add more. Let's add this one to the timeline. Let's preview all the sound effects we just added. We're still going to need more sound effects. Scroll down and preview each file. Let's add this one to the timeline and drag it between the other sound effects, because this one sounds like a rifle shot. And do a quick preview to check the sound. Let's add a few more sound effects. Go to the search and type in artillery. This one sounds too much. This one sounds better. Let's add it to the timeline. Do a quick preview. I think we still need to add more sound effect. Scroll down until you find the right one. Preview. Yes, this one is good. Let's add it to the timeline. Do a little check. I'm gonna add one more. Scroll down. Preview. Sounds good. Let's add it to the timeline. Drag it closer to the other clip. Put it underneath and let's run it. Let's preview some more. I still think there's something missing. I think we need a little closing sound effect. Let's just scroll down, preview, and add it to the timeline. Let's preview it. This sounds perfect, and it has a nice closing. I still think we need some rifle shots and some machine gun sound. Go to search and type in shots fired. Scroll down, preview, and add to timeline. Preview once more. And adjust the clip to make sure it matches the timeline. And add the fade out to the sound effect. In the next step, we're going to add some animation to the layer, especially the soldier layer. Let's go to animation and click on any animation that you can find. For example, this animation gives you the beam down effect. Soldiers like beaming down to the battleground. Try different animations. Select the one that doesn't look too cheesy. Now this one looks like a fairy dust effect. It looks nice. Also, let's try this one. This one looks like they were sent in from other planet inside a cube. Select one of the animations, then select the background so we can add animation to the background layer. One important thing I want to point out is when you're doing animations, if you have a layer like a smoke layer, when you do animations, you can still see the smoke layer like this one. And what we want to do is we want to make sure the smoke layer is not visible during the transition. So what we got to do is if we move it up, it's going to go over the soldiers, which doesn't look too good. So we bring it down where it's supposed to be, and it's supposed to be behind the soldiers. In order to overcome that issue, we can create a compound layer. Simply select the background layer, then select the smoke layer, right click, and select compound layer, and make both clips to be one layer only. Now go back to animation and select the animation you want to apply to this layer. And when we preview the animation, we no longer see the smoke coming in between. You see, there's no smoke layer. When we go back, black, and that's it. And the reason is the smoke layer is now part of the background layer. Now I'm just going to go ahead and go to effects, go to film, and add the film frame to give it a nice old look movie that comes with the scratches, and just going to keep that layer as my effect layer and nothing else. Drag it to the timeline and expand to match the other clips. Then run a quick preview. This looks excellent. Now let's go to adjustment, and we want to enhance the fire quality, the flame in the background. Go to adjustment, scroll down until you see temperature. We're going to make sure that flame is a little bit reddish. Bring it up. It looks nice, and bring the tint up a little bit. That's perfect. Now we have more vibrant color. Now when you run the timeline, you'll notice that it's kind of faded. Drag that effect and run it again. You can see the old film adds a little tint to the color, and that's where we drag that effect to the right to make sure what kind of color adjustment we can achieve. And once you're happy with your adjustment, make sure you drag back the film frame layer back to the beginning of the timeline. Now the next and the final step is to add cinematic look to the clip. Select the entire clip on the timeline. Click and drag to cover the entire timeline, and right click and select Create Compound Clip. And now we have one clip for the entire timeline. Right click, go to Edit, and select Crop Ratio. Now from here, lower the upper a little bit and do the same thing with the bottom one to give it nice cinematic black bar effect. Now run the preview. That looks nice. We're almost done. Let's make our movie. Go to Export, click on it, change the name to WAR, W-A-R, and click on Export. That's all. Let's watch it together. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Please continue watching our other tutorials offered on this screen.